We have Congressman Ed Case joining us now to talk about the federal response to the Maui disaster.
Good morning, Congressman. You toured the site. What did you take away from that?
Utter devastation. Nothing prepares you for being on the ground. No images, no words, no color there, no life. The loss of a community, a home, of lives, and of part of the soul of our Hawaii. I think we've all had a piece of Lahaina in us, and so it's just an overwhelming feeling. But then also meeting the first responders is very emotional because we've got 2,000 people on the ground there doing some of the most difficult work right now, locating folks that are missing, getting ready for what is going to be one of the most complex debris removals in our country's natural disaster history. And just getting all of the federal programs in place that are out there and bring them fully to bear on the needs in Lahaina, short-term, mid-term, long-term.
Being there on Monday, part of the goal was to have the president as well as the congressional delegation talk to the people who survived this. Did you get a chance to speak with anyone in Lahaina during that time?
Absolutely. We spent quite a while with the survivors, and you know, they're in shock, as we all are. But they particularly, many of them don't know whether some of their family members are still alive. They don't have closure on that, and certainly thousands of them are without homes. And so that's very difficult. But in each and all of them, I found some hope, some inspiration, some encouragement, because what is amazing is what the response of the community. Centers out there that started way before FEMA was on the ground, and they just popped up on their own. People went to the store, bought stuff, brought it down to the shopping center, put it together, housed people in their homes, put it together right from scratch. And those are all over the surrounding communities. And so this is a community of loss that's being embraced by the larger community. You know, all of this has to be funded, and all of this has to be organized and directed by the federal government. We have very good, through FEMA and otherwise, disaster responses that we've been through before. And the challenge now is to make sure that those are carried out, and that's the delegation's job.
Yeah, and so that said, I guess maybe some more details. What can you do to help?
Well, the most immediate challenge we have is that all of the efforts that are going on right now are funded by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, through its Disaster Relief Fund. And that Disaster Relief Fund is running dangerously low. There have been a lot of disasters across this country. I met here in Honolulu with Administrator Criswell just a few days ago to kind of go through the nuts and bolts, because it's one thing to say, yes, we need to help, and it's another thing to translate that into actual funding, actual action across a broad range of federal agencies, and to keep it funded. And so the immediate challenge we have is to replenish that disaster relief fund to handle the major expenses that are going on. And this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar effort at the end of the day over several years. But right now, it's critical that the immediate needs are taken care of, that we do complete the remains identification and recovery, that we do stabilize people's food needs and housing needs. And those are all very expensive as well. So my challenge and the delegation's challenge is to be sure that we work with FEMA to make sure that that funding is in place. And we're talking about really a critical period of the next 6 weeks or so, because Congress right now is working on that supplemental funding for disasters. The president has submitted about a $12 billion request. We are going to have to advance monies that are being allocated elsewhere in the country for longer term disaster relief to Hawaii through what's called an immediate needs declaration by FEMA, which I discussed with the administrator. And so there's a sequence of actions that we're going to have to take to make sure that these programs continue full bore, funded, for as long as it takes, as the president said.
So just to be very clear to any of the victims who are watching who are relying on FEMA right now, you're going to do everything you can to make sure those services do not end in the months coming.
That's absolutely correct, and that is my #1 focus. We've got a lot of people doing the incredibly difficult work on the ground. We obviously have the survivors getting through shock to some form of recovery. My job is to make sure that these programs are operating and fully funded.
Do you think there's been enough communication to residents, to people that are still wondering what's going on?
I do believe that there's been enough attempt at outreach. I think that there are some pockets out there that still are not getting the full word, and that's a responsibility of everybody. The resources are out there. The communications are out there. FEMA and the state government, county government are working very hard to make sure that these communications, these services are much closer to the community itself. I think that's really key here because, right now, for example, FEMA's Disaster Recovery Center is over in, Wailuku and Kahului, and I talked with the administrator about, hey, that's got to be in West Maui itself because people don't want to go to, Central Maui, and they can't. It's difficult for them. They don't have a car, and it's hard to get there. And so the more that we can get these actual services into West Maui itself, and that's what she is committed to doing, and I think that's what they're going to do. So I think that this last challenge of getting the word fully out of about what's available, and by the way, dispelling inaccurate rumors out there about what FEMA does and doesn't do. FEMA provides aid. They don't go out there and make land use decisions. They don't go out there and kick people out of their homes. These are rumors that are being spread by people that are either ignorant or have some malicious intent. FEMA is there to help, and we need to take full advantage of the resources of the federal government, which are trained for this kind of disaster relief. This is what they do, so let's use them and coordinate with them.
All right, Congressman Case, we appreciate your time being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, it's 7:20 right now. We'll be right back after this.